Hi Jenny. Okay, so here's your past life spread, and we're going to go to where we were, what you did with the majority of your time, an important day with the relationship and feeling cards, another important day, your death, and the lesson learned. And we'll have to, this is usually the time card where we get the, what time period we're looking at, but we're going to put that away because we are going to Atlantis or Lemuria, or a place basically during this time that existed that no longer exists. And I feel like this is an Atlantis pull. I feel like we're being pulled to Atlantis. And so your job is going to be to try to make connections wherever you can from what we're looking at here to your current life. And I'll try to help where I can. And all I'm going to do is relay to you the images and impressions I'm getting. Okay? So already, for example, we get the Atlantis Lemuria card. You could be someone that is pulled towards Atlantis. Maybe you've been intrigued by it, that kind of thing. And if not, that's fine. But that's just an example of a kind of connection you could be making. All right? So we're going to Atlantis, and I feel like the area we're looking at is, there's something about near a mountain, because I've been to Atlantis here before, so to speak, and the area I was looking at there was actually relatively flat and by the water. And I feel like we're looking at an area here that's more like inland and more like on a mountain or next to a mountain or a hill or something big like that. And I don't feel like there's too much like ocean kind of thing, whereas before I've gotten a lot of that. So that itself actually could be a connection if you're more of a mountain person versus a water person. Now, if you're a water person versus a mountain person, or you could be both, but it can go either way, because here, if you've spent time in the mountains or on a mountain or something like away from the water, your soul could have reincarnated and come back wanting to experience water, you see? So you can make connections either way. So we're going to go to what you did with the majority of your time. This is the leadership card, okay? And so this is the life we're looking at of a male, and I feel like this male is actually quite stoic. And like he doesn't convey a lot of emotion in his expression. He's not very animated in that way. I feel like the job he has feels very weighty, like there's a lot of weight, it's very serious, at least to him. He takes it very seriously. So already in your current life you can be connecting to that in how do you feel about the work that you do in this life? Do you take it overly serious? Can you be like very OCD about things? Are you a perfectionist? Also, are you someone that takes a lot to warm up to, like before you really are feeling comfortable to express yourself in a more animated way? Or are you just someone that is not very animated? Then again, you could have come back as someone who is very expressive, emotional, and animated, because we're looking at someone here who doesn't really, again, express a lot. So I feel like this person takes their job very seriously. I'm just trying to see what it is that they do, because I feel like this person walks like he's on the move a lot. I feel like this person checks on things. Like he has almost like a checklist, and he goes around checking to make sure everything has been done. So you could be someone who likes making lists, who likes checking things off. You might be if you're someone that feels like you have to go check on things a lot, maybe more than you really need to, like a paranoid in a way, like if you're someone that is cooking something and you just need to check and you check too much, or if you might need to check in if you have kids, you just kind of check in to see what they're doing, just like a paranoia you can't quite place. If that's the case, great. If not, fine. But that's the kind of connection that you could be making from here. And I feel like it has to do with checking on, honestly, like checking on people more than anything. I feel like there are people that you almost, you know what it feels like? It feels like either like a ward of a jail or a camp counselor with campers, like that kind of thing, where you have people that you're kind of responsible for. But that's what it feels like. And yeah, I mean, this person is like, it's like the feeling of like Scrooge, like this. I feel like this person's kind of ornery, or like they're like kind of grouchy. I don't know, like it feels like kind of weird, like almost like they don't really know how to be happy. If that connects to you in any way, you could be someone that just makes it hard on yourself to be happy. You might feel like there are people who kind of punish themselves in order to like feel like they've earned something good, if that makes sense. And if that's you, if that speaks to you, I feel like this is coming up to tell you that that needs to change. So if that is you, you don't need to go through hardships in order to reap rewards. It's just not it. If that's what you've experienced in your life, it's because you've made it that way, because we create our own realities in that way. But you can recreate how things work for you by realizing you don't need to suffer in order to gain. So keep that in mind if that speaks to you. Let's go to the first important day. Here we're looking at Mother Nature. So I'm just seeing what's happening on this day. Family is involved. And we're getting this card. It's feeling like it's like a melancholy kind of card. There's a sadness to it. I'm trying to see what's happening here. Okay, so I feel like what's happening is we're seeing something that's interesting because it's a reoccurrence of a natural disaster that has hit this area before. And I feel like we're seeing family because I feel like this is a weird glimpse back, and I don't think I've gotten this before, but I feel like what I'm looking at is when this natural disaster is arriving, because I feel like it's something that can somewhat be predicted, but isn't like not too far in advance, so you would have to scramble to kind of get ready for it. But I feel like this happened before, and then it's coming again, and it's giving you flashbacks. And I feel like, because I feel like I'm looking at a flashback of when this happened last time, I feel like you were much younger, and your family was killed or they passed in this natural disaster. Something happened. You were saved. You weren't even with them, but they were together. And you know what it feels like? An earthquake of some sort? It actually feels like an earthquake, and I feel like your family was, something happened where they were closed in, like they were closed in the rubble or something, and they didn't make it out. And I feel like we're looking at a flashback on this day, and I feel like we're looking at this because it explains something. So it's explaining how you are the way you are in what we're looking at. In your current life, you might be someone that allows your past to dictate how you behave today or dictate what you want in the future. And that is normal, like to, you go through something and you're like, I don't want to ever go through this again, and so you make plans like kind of to veer away from that possibility in the future. But I feel like this is actually more coming up for if you're somebody that looks into the past a lot and you let your past dictate your behavior today. Like maybe you even like think about it possibly too much, or it's that kind of thing where if you remember something and you kind of wince because it's uncomfortable, because it's embarrassing or something, if you are someone that allows those memories to come in and make you feel that way, I feel like it's coming up to tell you that it's time to put the past in the past for good, and you need to start like focusing on presently kind of recreating your emotional body in that way. And this is only, this only speaks to you if it speaks to you about your past. If you're someone that does that you haven't really put your past behind you, it's time to put the past behind you, like in whatever way you can. Like if you're still, holding on to something, whether it's like, old letters or old clothing or old texts or voicemail, whatever it is from your past, and I feel like it is linked to people, it's time to really let that go. And if it's just memories, if it's not like something you can hold and get rid of, if it's just memories, it's almost like a time to start putting in the mental process that you need to start putting in to create new thought patterns that allow you to stay in the present moment and move forward rather than dip into the past. I just feel like that was important to say. So there's something about right now you creating a different self presently where you can literally live in the present moment more, and that's going to be very, very good for you and will create a lot of abundance for you actually. So keep that in mind as well if that speaks to you. But we see this guy who's basically going through life in a kind of haze, like a haze from his past. And that's holding him back from really appreciating his present. And I feel like we're looking at a period here where he's realizing it. It's almost like he's like, okay, I need to do something about this because I'm kind of sad and kind of lonely. So this is a really interesting day. It's a very thought-provoking, profound, realization kind of day. So I feel like that's why it's being brought up, is that's, you might be going through a transition or a period of self-reflection, and I feel like that if that's the case, that's why this would be coming up. So let's go to the next important day. Here's the Enlightenment card. Usually this card comes up when, you know, there's a soul growth of some sort. And here we have the Child card. And then here we have the Torn card. It's really interesting. So I feel like what we're looking at is this man, shortly after this, still years, I feel like it's still at least a couple years later, I feel like we see him find a partner and begin creating a family. And I actually, for some reason, when I put this card down, it felt like an adoption. So I feel like the partner he finds is either one for love, or it's a partner for purely to procreate with, if that makes sense. Or it's a partner that helps him get the child. So it's either, it doesn't feel very romantic is what it is. So because of that, it just doesn't feel like fully like a passionate affair he has and falls in love. It's not like that. I feel like he finds someone who is adequate for him, and they talk. It's almost like a business deal. It's almost like a respectful business deal. Either she has the child or she gets him the child. So she's either with him and they have a child together to have the child. Kind of like if you've seen Parks and Recreation, that show, the two that get together just to basically have a child, but then they kind of fall in love. It's like that. It's like either you get together with this woman and she has a child so that you both can raise a child, or you get in touch with a woman who allows you to adopt her child. Okay, there you go. So long story short, that's it. And so basically there's a child in your life now, and I feel like this card, the Torn feeling, is coming up because it's really just like throwing you for a loop, because you know it's what you want, but you like, it's bringing up so many emotions that you're not used to processing. It's overwhelming. So of course having a child is overwhelming, but it's changing you on like a cellular level, like it's on a soul level. Like there's so much change happening as you transition into the life of a father. And I do feel like you have help. So you might have found a partner that is kind of similar to you, and they're not looking for passionate love. They're looking to have a solid, secure relationship and family. Which in your current life, either one, that's what you could want. You could be someone that's like, I just want a family and I want to be secure, and I can be happy if there is security, stability, and family. On the other hand, you could have been born into this life to experience passionate love and romance, and so if you're someone that wants that romance and that passion, it could be because you didn't experience it in this life, so you're coming back to experience it now. So keep that in mind, however that connects with you. As well as children, if you are someone that has found that if you have children, that they've changed your life in ways you've never even thought possible, and they've made you a completely different person, that would make sense as well. Even if you have children, they can even make you feel like you want to kill them sometimes. That's the Torn card. Like, it's such a weird conundrum having children with all these emotions. Like, you want to smack them, you want to kiss them, like they're just, they're crazy, you can't pin them down. And that can be confusing for you. On the other hand, you could be someone that doesn't want children because of how overwhelming it was here. You could be someone that just admires children, but you're like, maybe that's just not for me. I don't need that right now because I have so much going on with me, and I need to figure out me before I can bring another kid or another life into this world. And if you do have children and you're going through those feelings of transition where you're really changing, it's just important that that the love is still there for the kids, but allow yourself to change. A lot of people don't allow themselves to change when they have kids or even when they have partners. They just stay consistently the same when we are meant to be growing and changing in our lives. We're human beings. We are growing every single day. So you can serve others best, whether it's your family, friends, whatever. You can serve others best by being true to yourself. You need to be more authentic and more caring and loving for yourself in order for others to kind of reap the rewards of that. Because if you're not, then you are subconsciously sending out waves of emotion or waves of energy that are affecting other people. When we're authentic with ourselves and we're most happy with ourselves because we're being who we're supposed to be, those energy waves are sending out too, and they're affecting people, and it's more positive because it helps other people be themselves as well. So I feel like that is what this day covers, and if you can make any other connections, please do so. But this is really an enlightening time for this man, you, to go through, because it's unlike anything he's ever been through. It's also unlike anything he's ever expected to feel, and it brings up a lot of emotion because of his own family. His own family isn't able to see the family he's created, and yet he's created this family because his family passed, in a way. So it's very like bittersweet. That's where I feel like this comes in. The melancholy bittersweetness comes in because of that weird scenario. And it's also a message to do things for yourself and not others. Don't allow others, especially from your past, to dictate your actions in the future or now. Even though he did, but he wanted it for himself too. It wasn't just for that, but that highly influenced it. So don't allow yourself, I feel like that's coming up for a message to don't allow yourself to be highly influenced by other people if it overrides your own sense of judgment, your own intuition, okay? Now let's go to the death. The death card. This is the burn card, and I gotta say, like, it feels like it's more of a closed in suffocation, not breathing scenario rather than actual burning occurring. I'm trying to see what it is. It just feels like if there is a fire, it's not the fire that takes you out, it's the closed offness of breath. So in your current life, you could be struggling with breathing issues, throat issues, expression issues, expressing yourself, because the throat is all about expression. Breathing, lung issues. If you have like mucus buildup, lungs, I don't feel like it's too much fluid. I feel like it's more like hard breathing. So if you get sick, if you get bronchitis or pneumonia or something, that could stem from here. Also, what is it with that? What else is there? There's something happening too with the headaches. You might be getting headaches. Smells might bother you. Might be very sensitive to smells. And I feel like there's something else here. What's happening? I feel like there's like cramping happening as well. So if you find that your joints are achy or you get like cramping in areas, that can stem from here. So keep in mind all of those things. And if not, that's fine. So we go to the lesson here, and here is interesting. We have self-love. That's funny. That just is perfect because it really ties into all of this. It's really, we're seeing a life gradually become more self-aware that self-love is needed in order to get over certain things that are horrific and that are still influencing this man. And so he takes steps. And the first step actually was acknowledgement. The first step was actually being true with himself, realizing he is a certain way and that way is not serving him as fully as he needs it to serve him in this life. So he thinks, what can I do? And his family comes to mind and he thinks, I need a family. I should take the first step. So I feel like that it comes up because it's important for you to first, one, recognize, do a self-assessment and recognize, am I happy with everything going on right now with who I am? What needs to change if something needs to change? How can I change it? What should be the first step? And this is more, I feel like, more on an emotional level, but it can also be physical, like, you're unhappy in your career or with your work. Maybe you're unhappy in your relationship, and we are experts. Humans are experts at self-denial, at denying emotions. And I feel like this is coming up for you to kind of embrace and recognize what is currently going on in your life. It's basically, do you love yourself as fully as you can based on the life you've created for yourself? Is it a life of my love expressed and made manifest and physical? Is that what I'm living right now? Or are there certain things that need to change that I've been putting off for a long time? And I feel like this is coming up because if that's the case, it's time to start looking at those things, and it's time to start going through a transition if you've been feeling like something needs to change. I feel like there's something else to this too. It's about like, I feel like this is about moving on, moving forward. And I feel like this is coming up because if that's the case in your current life, if you find you need to move on from something or move past something, the best thing you can do is not focus on external things, not like, it's not about distractions. It's about going inside, going into yourself, and kind of like just really being very true with yourself and acknowledging things that maybe are hard to acknowledge, and working from the inside and bringing the self-love that you create and start building on the inside, making that manifest into your physical reality rather than trying to find things externally to make you basically temporarily happy. So there is your past life. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you were able to make some connections, and thanks for letting me read you.